I spent 2 years convinced I had a pipeline problem. No leads, empty calendar, people not finding me. And every piece of advice that I got all pointed to the same things. More content, more reach, more visibility, Adam. So that's what I did. And guess what? The pipeline stayed the same. And here's the thing, not because the advice was wrong, because I was solving the wrong problem. And today I'm going to tell you what I figured out. And it has absolutely nothing to do with your funnel. And there's one question I never asked myself that literally changed everything the moment that I did. I'll give you that question before this video ends. Here's what no one is willing to tell you about a pipeline problem, is it almost never starts with the pipeline. The pipeline is the last thing that shows up and the last thing that actually needs fixing. What shows up first though, way before the empty calendar and way before the lead drought, is this, the identity problem. And because the identity problem is invisible and the pipeline is a visible problem, everyone goes after the pipeline and wonders why nothing ever changes. And let me show you exactly what I mean. I own 3 KW franchises, and I knew exactly who I was talking to when I was recruiting them. Agents who wanted to grow, agents who wanted more leverage, agents who wanted more production, agents who wanted more market share, agents who wanted to increase their GCI. I could describe this person in my sleep. I knew their fears. I knew their specific language. I knew their system challenges. I knew their specific problem. And here's the thing, my pipeline was never empty because I knew my identity in that space, who I was, what I had built, what I stood for, what my values were, and all of that made it completely obvious who I was for. And then I got out of that container and I stepped into the coaching space. And for the first time in my career, I didn't know who I was exactly for. I knew I wanted to help people. I knew I had something really to offer others. But that identity that I once had that made my avatar obvious was gone. And without that identity, my avatar got really vague. And here's the thing I want you to remember. A vague avatar creates a vague pipeline, which is pretty much to say, it stays empty. And that connection between identity and avatar, how one creates the other, is something that I've never actually seen someone explain clearly. I'm going to break that down completely for you right now. Here's the framework that I teach inside of the blueprint. Your avatar is always a reflection of your identity, not your credentials, not your methodology, your identity, who you are, what you've lived, what you know because you've been through it. That is what actually creates the attraction or the magnetism, if you will. And when your identity is unresolved, when you borrow authority or you're performing someone else's version of success, the problem is at that point in time, the avatar becomes kind of a category and not a person. And that's key to understand. Here's what that looks like in actual practice. You see, when the identity is clear, you can specifically define the avatar sitting across from you. You know their specific fears. You know the exact moment, let's say in their business, that they realize that they need you. If you know them well enough, you know what they said to their spouse the night before. And that specificity, it's not a marketing skill. That's what I like to call an identity skill. And here's the key that I want you to write down right now. You can only see that person that clearly when you know yourself that clearly. And when the identity isn't that clear, you're still in performance mode and you're still performing someone else's framework, still using borrowed language, still not quite sure what your real story is and what uniquely qualifies you to do it. The avatar will continue to always stay fuzzy there. And here's the kicker of it all. When that is the case, your content stays super aspirational. And that aspirational language does not resonate with everyone, and it definitely does not convert. And here's what I had to learn. That resonance and recognition are completely two different things. Resonance says that's true. Recognition says that's me. And recognition from that avatar is the only thing that will consistently fill your pipeline. Stay with me because what I'm about to share with you actually changes something. Not because you think differently, but it's going to change what you do tomorrow morning. Here's the sequence that I see with the majority of high achievers that come into I Love Coaching, into the community with a pipeline problem. And I want to see if you recognize yourself with it. Stage 1, your identity is completely unresolved. Maybe you just exited something. Maybe you're still inside something that doesn't feel quite like yours. Maybe you've borrowed a framework and you built a business around it, and the business is working, but you can't quite shake that feeling that the person showing up in your content isn't you. That is unresolved identity. And it's very unsettling and very performing. Let's look at stage 2. Because your identity is unresolved, your avatar is unclear. You want to help coaches, maybe you want to help entrepreneurs, maybe you want to help high achievers. But when someone asks you specifically who you help and what exact results they get, I want you to hear this. You answer in a category, not a person. And the answer is vague because you've watched the right person find you, not at your content, and book a call. Stage 3, the avatar is vague because your pipeline is empty. It's not because you're not showing up, not because you don't have enough reach, but because simply the person you're looking for can't tell quick enough in your content if you're talking to them. And we're in a world where attention is only roughly 3 seconds long. If they can't tell you're talking to them in that 3 seconds, you've lost them. The fix does not start in stage 3. It doesn't start at the pipeline. It starts in stage 1. And the promise that I made you, the one that starts to unlock stage 1, here it is. Because the next part is where everything either clicks or stays stuck. And I wanted to click for you. Here's the question. Who is the most specific person I'm most equipped to help right now? Not the one I eventually want to help, not the broadest version of my audience, but the person whose problem I understand better than anyone else because I've lived it or I've spent years sitting across from it. And that question, it does something important. It actually pulls the avatar out of the abstract and puts it into specific. And specific is where your identity lies. Because the most specific person you can help right now is always the person you used to be, or the person you watched struggle and you figured out how to help. That connection between your story and their problem, that's the identity. And once you can see that, the avatar becomes obvious. And once the avatar becomes obvious, guess what? The pipeline begins to grow. And I learned this the hard way. I had to go through 3-4 containers to understand what mine was, what my identity was. And it's very simple. I help business people build their business. So I'm going to continue to say it. Your pipeline is not a marketing problem. It's not a reach problem. It's not a funnel problem. So stop saying it's a funnel problem. It's an identity problem because you've probably been wearing a costume, a cape, a hero, whatever you've been doing. Fix the identity. The avatar will follow. And after the avatar follows, your pipeline fills. It's always in that order. So if you want to work through this, if you want to gain clarity on your identity and fill your pipeline, if you're watching this before August 26th, I want to invite you to an event. It's called Pack Your Pipeline. We go through the whole sequence start to finish. Identity first, avatar second, offer third, pipeline fourth, in that order. The link is below. I'll see you there. Remember, your pipeline is not your problem. Your identity is. Go do the work that actually matters first. Subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.